We just were given a bombshell update. XRP ETFs are inbound. And so it is why I'm making this pink alert video today for all of you wonderful human beings. But there is a variety of different, honestly exciting things which might be happening inside the markets proper now too, that I've been diving deep into, that I wanted to share with you guys too, because frankly, I mean, some of the things I was seeing was a touch bit regarding mainly what I'm proximately to show you proper right here about insiders and what they're currently doing with their stocks, particularly generation stocks, which we know are very closely correlated to cryptocurrencies in phrases of fee action and fashionable overall performance. So I wanted to simply speak approximately this real quick. We can see that US executives are promoting stocks at a report pace. The ratio of insider customers to dealers dropped to 0.22. That is the bottom when you consider that 1,000. 988, while US executives very rudely moved the information forward by correctly seeing comments to the newly masked out. This is below previous lows of 0.24 and 0.25, visible in 2024 and 2021. You can see this in reality if we look at the chart proper right here, that this is the lowest stage it's been at, given that recorded history, which started out again in 2018. Now, I do desire that we did have an awful lot higher tiers to see what the tiers had been like in 2008, 2009. Unfortunately, we cannot see that data because it become no longer being tracked at that point, I imply. It's probably an amazing thing for those company insiders because a number of human beings probable might have began promoting lots in advance throughout that economic disaster, but we have get right of entry to this facts now. And what this statistics essentially is telling us is that, nicely, this is looking virtually much like 2021, I imply. Take a look at the 2021 dip that we saw proper here of customers in step with corporate insider sellers. And we are seeing the same component take place right here in 2025. So what does this mean in my thoughts? Well, a lot of company insiders basically saying that they assume the markets are puffed up proper now and they're glad to sell their shares and get coins, cash in place of the stocks that they had been previously protecting. Now, there is many distinctive methods that you could look at this. Due to direction, we're nonetheless hitting new all-time highs. Who is using all of this fee movement? And properly, there's one factor that I realize for certain. There's lots extra retail traders worried within the space right now than there has been 6 months in the past. I assume every person who has been worried in cryptocurrency for the last couple of years can be able to tell you this beyond any reasonable doubt. I see this firsthand because I see the quantity of human beings which are watching my motion pictures. I can see that the hobby in cryptocurrency has long passed up considerably over the direction of the ultimate to 3 months. And so I do suppose that some corporate insiders are the usage of retail buyers as go out liquidity. And I do also suppose that institutions are presently selling and buying at strategic times so one can liquidate a whole lot of futures positions to make brief cash. It's nicely. What we are basically seeing is that corporate insiders and institutions are swing trading to basically earnings based, totally off of the errors of newbie retail consumers. Now, I'm profiting at some stage in this time, but nonetheless, that is concerning to me, and that is something that I did need to carry to you men interest. They're the usage of market dynamics and marketplace psychology to essentially earnings at your men expense. That's what I'm seeing right now. Now, in different information, we do have Trump doing some quite exciting things too with tariffs, which undoubtedly are going to have a big impact on the worldwide economic system. We saw off direction simply the day past that Trump introduced 25% price lists on each Canada and Mexico. And he said that those price lists are set to go into impact on February 1st. And he said they may or might not upward thrust with time. But he has since gone lower back on that approximately 15 hours later after he made the statement, which become just made this morning, pronouncing that he's now delaying starting the 25% price lists on Canada and Mexico from February 1st to March 1st of path, in line with Trump and the administration officers. Basically, they're already backpedaling on once they need those price lists to move stay. And the trouble with tariffs is that your opponent, whoever you are enforcing these price lists on, also can reply with price lists. And it essentially simply will become an alternate battle of foul, where both people essentially say, okay, we're going to raise tariffs, we are going to boost tariffs, purchasers are going to be annoyed, and then it reasons political unrest. And so the internet game here that Trump has playing a alternate warfare with Canada, a splendid alternate associate who I assume is at the same time useful. Like, there is no massive deficit right here. Canada affords oil, US refines that oil, sells it back to Canada, and the relaxation of the world. It's truly a truly good deal for the United States. I suggest Canada should realistically simply create their own oil refineries and then just promote the oil themselves. However, presently they are giving all of it to the USA, and US is certainly profiting on that immensely. So yeah, I don't think that is a great pass to place tariffs on Canada. Mexico, I understand a little bit more due to the troubles with the cartels and plenty of other troubles. But yeah, Canada, I think you realize it is simply not an awesome character to do this with, because it's simply going to cause inflation on both sides due to how a lot of oil does come from Canada. And if Trump desires to start buying more oil from the Saudis or Russia, he can try this. However, I suggest two humans he probably would not need to deal a lot with right now, considering some different geopolitical issues that he's dealing with those countries. So with that being stated, though, Trump isn't always simply threatening 25% price lists. He's also threatening 100% price lists on BRICS nations if they are trying to replace the US dollar. I understand, I do think it is ridiculous. You realize he's essentially simply announcing, yeah, no one's going to transact. I'm now not going to transact with you if you men are going to be in BRICS and looking to update the USA dollar. Now, how they respond to this may be simply interesting. I do assume this is kind of like a bully form of pass. It's essentially just saying, you know, you allow us to do what we need, and in case you don't, then we don't exchange with you. And also, you do not get to be part of the most important economy within the international. And I suppose, in truth, this does incentivize a group of nations to try and cope with the US even much less. So yeah, but to see how that is going to play out, I don't think it is going to play out extremely nicely. I don't assume that these price lists will remaining lengthy, because while Americans' prices begin going up for actually the entirety because of how a great deal imports it's probably not going to be a first-rate sport within the long term. Sure, you are the sector reserve proper now, but in case you're ruining your business relationships with virtually everyone and nobody wants to do business with you anymore, they may find an answer. And so he's playing a quite dicey game right here, and I do suppose that if performed wrong, it is going to simply expedite the downfall of America. Now, according to Elon Musk, he's simply announcing that there's going to be no inflation in 2026 if the Department of Government Efficiency cuts $4 billion per day in US spending. This is surely thrilling to mention. I suggest that is additionally off path, assuming that the Federal Reserve does now not print any cash. And with the modern trade wars occurring, I assume it is becoming increasingly more probably that they will ought to print money for you realize, essentially get themselves out of the liquidity crisis that they're possibly to see themselves in. But we're going to see how this all plays out. You realize no inflation in 2026, that could be K. You're really consistent with each single economist ever. You do need a little bit of inflation, like no more than like 2.2% inflation is considered like healthful, because the issue is after you get into a state of deflation, it's truly very terrible for any financial system, and it slows down surely the whole lot. Essentially what takes place whilst deflation occurs, which means the cost of your greenback is going up and the fee, like the rate of products and services, are going down. What occurs then is that clients prevent spending. And in case you want to look a real existence example of where this has happened, it's surely happening right now in China. Consumers aren't shopping for something due to the fact they're experiencing colossal ranges of deflation due to a collapsing population and decreasing demand for items and services, and an excess quantity of goods and services to be had in the marketplace. And so when you see deflation, or basically no inflation at all, essentially purchasers prevent spending due to the fact they're seeking out a better deal,